Hello, I'm the Dark Master, and welcome back to my LEGO reviews. In today's video, we shall be covering set number 71746, Jungle Dragon. It comes with 506 pieces in 5 bags, 4 minifigures, and a sticker sheet. As always, let us start with the minifigures. From left to right, we have Island Lloyd, Island Zane, a Thunder Keeper, and Polaric. Let us start with the good guys first. First, we have Lloyd in his jungle outfit. Starting with his hair, we see he has a new hair mold with a green bandana and his blonde hair. It's a really good piece and really expresses that sort of rough terrain Rambo style that highlighted the jungle wave. Going down to his head, shockingly, Lloyd here has an actually new face print. Hallelujah. Most obvious thing here is the presence of sand green face paint on his cheeks. Again, this has a very Rambo-esque vibe. Another change is his expressions. Both are very serious. One is a serious frown, while the other is a full-blown grimace. Considering the island's premise of Wu being kidnapped, this actually does make sense. Going down, he has a green bandana, and going further down, we see he has this armor with the shoulder coverage bearing the shuriken markings and can hold a singular katana. Going down to the torso print, we see what has to be one of the most detailed torso prints Lloyd has ever had, if not the most. It has multiple layers with belts and camouflage and all sorts of utilitarian holders. The numerous green shades are very well done. The olive green especially is used very well here. Overall, it's an amazing print and once again gives off this sort of survivor look. Removing the armor, we see his back print. It is slightly less complex than the previous front print, but it still is interesting. Like, what are these little pixel shapes and other belts that are obscuring his logo? It's good, but again, I find it that it's a shame that the armor usually always hides these back prints. Going to his arms, they are regular green with black hands. His leg printing is also good, with green belts set upon a dark green pants. For weaponry, he wields a katana molded in gold, with a tassel piece put on the end. Overall, it's a good figure with a lot of new elements and also elements from previous Lloyd figures. Now let's go to the second hero of the set, Zane, Ninja of Ice. Starting with the hair, it's a flat top molded in metallic silver that's been used on every Zane since the movie came out. It's fine, but nothing really special. In fact, I would go as far to say that the original hair mold was possibly slightly better, though I can argue for or against that position. Going down to his face, due to his hairpiece, he only has one face print set upon a silver headpiece. It is a determined robotic grimace, but it's nothing new. We've seen it in previous sets. on the back print there is a plug-in, and this is fine because if he had an alternative face, it would be exposed. Either way, though, it really does give off the robotic look. But still, it's a shame it had to be this way, but it's a perfectly fine head. Going further down, we see he has a white bandana that covers the bottom of his face, much like Lloyd, though in white, of course. Beneath that is a black quiver piece that is perfectly utilitarian but nothing worth really talking about. Going further down, we see his torso print has white robes with sky blue markings partially covering his torso, while his right chest and shoulder is exposed. Honestly, it's just as good as Lloyd's and gives off this sort of rugged Conan slash Tarzan look, though as a robot. Removing the quiver, we can see his back print. It's more of those robes plus belts, and a holder for the quiver is ironically on the print. He still has exposed metal skin on the left, which is a nice detail to see. Going down to his legs, we see that it has a little less detail than Lloyd, but much like the back print, I would be lying if I didn't say that it was perfectly fine, and I enjoyed the cyan belt. That was a nice little detail that I'm happy to say is still here. Zane has asymmetric arms due to battle damage. One is white while the other is silver, which again indicates a level of battle damage. Both of his hands are black, and for weaponry he wields a bow and arrow molded in black. Perfectly utilitarian, but nothing really all that special. Now, let us go to the antagonists of the set, the Keepers, also called the Islanders, but let us start with the Foot Soldier, a Thunder Keeper. Starting with the head, he wears an extremely large tribal mask with teal and other colored markings that form a toothy grin that honestly with the boar tusks reminds me of an Oni mask. It does give off a Pacific Islander vibe, but I must ask how he sees through the mask without eye holes. I mean, even the OG Islanders at least had those. I don't see it being particularly useful outside of Ninjago context, though. I do have to say that there may be exceptions. And I must commend the molding that is not so obvious from the front, as it actually covers his head, unlike some previous similar molds. It also looks like an actual helmet. Removing the helmet, we see that the Thunder Keeper has the same type of boar tusks jutting out of his mouth, to the point where it looks like an evil smile. He also has yellow, sunken in eyes and numerous white lightning marks. Also, there is no alternative face, which will make sense later on, but the back print is nice, with more of those white lightning markings that really make him look like he's lightningy. Going down to the torso, we see he wears a sort of leather slash turtle bone slash wood tiki armor with numerous teal colored gems and rope. Luckily for us, he has an uncovered back print, allowing us to more easily see it than the last two figures. It's fine, but lacks the teal gems, so it's less interesting in my opinion than the front print. Going to his legs, we see he has more palm wood armor with this sort of islander, I guess you would call it a dress, and more teal gems. It's fine, but nothing special. The Thunderkeeper's arms are a pale purplish pink. We'll talk about this in a bit. For weaponry, he wields a spear molded in white. It's perfectly utilitarian and a nice recolor, but again, nothing really all that special. The show gave them this purple tip, and it is a shame that it didn't make it here. Now, let us go to the final figure and the final bad guy of the set. Polaric, which is a Danish name, kind of strange for what is supposed to be an isolated islander, as you can see, reuses quite a number of pieces: the legs, the torso, the arms, and the lower head of the Thunder Keeper. Before I cover what little is new, I would like to point out how the color of the bad guys in this particular wave are pretty bad. Like, if you compare it to what it looked like in the show, it's completely different. Honestly, they didn't even have to go that far, because I know that they made the sets before they made the show. Maybe instead of light pinkish purple, they went with a dark purple. It would have really worked better. It honestly kind of reminds me to what they did with the MCU Thanos, as they kept making him progressively lighter until he looked like the guy from Pawn Stars. However, moving on from that and going up from his first head, we see that he has a dark green bandana, which is a nice recolor to see, and a second, more angry face with a scowl and purple facial lightning markings. No alternative face, but it does have back lightning markings that are slightly different than the bottom head. For hair, he has a green stud with a ponytail, much like Ultraviolet and Daddy No Legs. For weaponry, he wields two what I can only describe as toothed tomahawks. Overall, while it is a shame he reuses so many pieces, he still has a unique, distinct appearance thanks to his two heads. Honestly, the only other time I remember Lego doing something similar to this was with the Lord of the Rings game. I mean, technically, there was Fang Dam and Fang Tom, but that was more of a specialized one piece as opposed to having two separate minifigure heads. Now, let's cover the pieces, and I must say, I really appreciate all the Nexo Knight shield pieces molded in teal. In fact, all the pieces in teal are good. It's nice to see that they brought back this color, even though it had been previously retired. Though, personally, the one color I really want to see brought back would have to be metallic green, because that is one of the most beautiful colors that I think Lego ever did, and it's a shame they really left it. I also find that the recolored Overlord Dragon mouthpiece in tan and white is an excellent recolor, and it's nice to see that such a specialized piece still has a place in Lego. The bulky top jaw is also exquisite. One piece in particular note is the Storm Amulet, which is the same piece as the Wave Amulet, except with translucent purple, not blue, which gives it a distinct yet similar appearance to the Wave Amulet. Plus, you can better see all the small details that are less visible in the Wave Amulet. The sticker sheet has 9 stickers, which can be left off if you really hate stickers, like I know some people do, but I think that they actually greatly enhance this set, and so shouldn't be removed. But what about the build? Well, let's start with the small side build first, before getting into what you're really interested in. First, we have this little build that I like to call Zane's Catamaran, which is this nice little boat. Starting from the front, we see he has white Nexonite shield, and going back, we see two studs where Zane can be positioned. He has a sail used obviously for catching the wind. I must say, I didn't like how the color of the blue seems to be inconsistent. Like, make it one or the other, but combining the light teal flag pieces and this darker blue piece, that just infuriates me for some reason. Because it would have been so easy to do it one way or the other, but they just didn't. I will say that the Shuriken printed circular disc is a really beautiful print, and I'm sure it can be used outside of the Ninjago context. It also has a dragon hilt at the top, which is a nice little detail. Continuing down, we see a pair of stud shooters molded in white and armed with translucent blue. It's fine, but even I must take note of this bizarre chrome gold pieces that stick out compared to the other gold in the set. I mean, what is this? Why is this here? Going to the back, we see a good engine build using a binocular piece. Going to the bottom, we see a pair of katanas, but also two radar pieces molded in pearl gold, which is such a weird choice. Like, why would you have just these three pieces in that color? I mean, seriously, you don't really see them. It seems like a waste of a color. You could have made them white or gray and nobody would have minded, but you just made them this weird pearl gold. Overall, it's a nice little boat, but let us go to the main attraction of the set and what you're probably honestly waiting for. The Jungle Dragon, or as he's called in the show, Skippy. Let us start with the head and work our way down. The top half of his head uses this new dragon jaw mold, an amazing teal, and while something of note is that his eyes are asymmetrical, with one being a suspicious, narrowed gaze, while the other is a wide eyed puppy dog look. The top print with the black and gold giving a distinctive reptilian aesthetic. This is only enhanced with a sticker applied to the teal slope. This snout piece also has a pair of white horns attached at either side, which were originally spider legs from the Legends of Chima. Thanks to a pair of droid arm pieces, the jungle dragon's mouth can be hinged quite a bit, though unlike with the Overlord dragon, I'm not sure if this was intentionally creepy. As we can see, this lower jaw has a claw piece molded in red to emulate a sort of dog like tongue. You sensing a recurring pattern here, we'll get to that. Overall, the head is great with a lot of charm and a great bit of articulation. Also interesting to note is the Overlord headpiece in white and tan, which I talked about earlier, but again, I want to point out because it's just nice to see a piece not abandoned right off the bat. Moving down to the neck, we see it is another simple build, but has some nice shaping due to a sand green and teal slope pieces that have similar stickers to the head, minus the little dark spots that were used to have it transition better with the head. I really think the teal quarter circular piece gives the dragon back the sort of unique texture that will be more noticeable in a bit. And the neck is overall fine with good articulation. Now, let us go down to the body. The front of the dragon's body has a lot of stickers that greatly enhance its aesthetics. It is here we also see his front legs. They have 2 points of articulation, one at the shoulder and the other at the wrists. The upper front leg is covered in numerous highly useful teal pieces, like this radar dish piece, and the bonds are quite interesting and that they use mixer joints due to its comparatively small size. Specifically, the upper right hand is built differently, and so I'll use it as a way to describe the rest of the hands. You see, it has a sort of small chain on it. Otherwise, all the feet are identical, with the three ingots molded in gunmetal gray, the teal, the sand green, and the gray Exoforce arms with white barbs for claws. Pretty good, not gonna lie. It's also very interesting to see that Ninjago has pretty much fully abandoned the Hero Factory beast feat. On one hand, it's sad to see such an old and another part of CCBS being forgotten, but on the other hand, it does allow for more creativity. Overall, pretty good. Now, going further down the body, we see his wings. These are vestigial nubbins that do not allow for fully powered flight, and frankly could have been left off altogether. But they're here, and all I can really say about them is that they do come off, as some people say, a little skeletal and tacked on. but their articulation on them is perfectly fine, and I don't know, they do offer some level of interaction. We also see a seat for someone to sit on. It's a neat little build with maroon, making it look very cozy, and if you really don't want it, you can leave it off and remove it to create more of a pure dragon. Going further down the body, we see there is a prominent bend, which on one hand looks like the poor creature broke its back, but is also reminiscent of the pose that dogs do. You're seeing a thread here when it comes to dogs. I'll return to this shortly. The back legs are more clunky than the front ones, being very chunky. My only complaint would be this exposed tan here. I don't know, that just bothered me. Finally, we get to the tail. It has a lot of segments, and since they're all identical except the last one, we'll be just covering them one time. With the teal Nexo Knight shield piece, and the gold plates, and the teal quarter circular plate, they look pretty fine to me, and they do allow for a large amount of articulation as they easily wag back and forth. In fact, this is probably one of the most waggy of all dragon tails. The final segment is the arguably the most interesting one. It has one of those pieces that has a bendy aspect to it and is molded in teal and sand green. There are also these two golden blades. You can bend these blades up and down as you wish. Let's do a quick look at the bottom, and it's not that good. But then again, no Lego set that I can think of has ever looked good from the bottom, so this isn't really a complaint since you don't normally see it unless you actively look for it. Overall, this dragon, the jungle dragon, stands out from other Ninjago dragons, which normally fall into two archetypical dichotomies. They're either the serpent like, lack wings, Eastern style, or the more clunky, more cat like, more bestial Western dragons. This one, honestly, is somewhere in between, looking more like a dog than a fantastical creature. This is also shown in the TV show, where it's also a lot less intelligent than the other dragons. In conclusion, how is this set? Well, the figures are all pretty good, if a bit lazy in Polaric's instance, though. Again, I wouldn't say that's really a negative. The side build is small but very charming, and the dragging is outright amazing. Indeed, it has to be very distinctive, and is perhaps among all the dragons of Ninjago the most unique. Overall, I can highly recommend this set. It's a great buy. I am the Dark Master, and join me next time on my Lego reviews. Have a wonderful day.